Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first mini lesson of the marking period. Today, we're going to do an overview lesson of what is economics. Before we get started, just a reminder notes are required for this course. Each note set is worth 5 points. It is your responsibility to take the notes either digitally or on paper. Once you complete a set of mini lesson notes, whether that is off of the board when I present them in person or whether that is digitally based off of the videos, you need to either upload a picture of your notes if you did them on paper or to upload the document, whether that be Google Docs or Google Slides or Canva or whatever note taking resource you use. So then I can give you credit for those notes. So at the beginning of all of these lessons, you will see a learning target. For the learning target for this lesson, it is I can define and explain the significance of studying and understanding economics. So in this learning target, we are specifically going to focus on the definition of economics, which can kind of be a difficult process. Then we're going to look at why people study economics, both like why is it required in high school, as well as why do people go into it in colleges for majors or minors. And then we're going to talk about some occupations that are directly correspondent with economics. So, defining economics is not an easy definition by any means, and it's something that different resources and different economists and different historians and different people in different fields have different definitions of. So, just looking at a couple of definitions, Investopedia, which is one of the resources we're going to be using on and off throughout this marking period, defines economics as a social science concerned with the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. In other words, it's looking at what is being produced within a market and looking at how people are getting those resources. The American Economic Association states that economics is the study of scarcity, the study of how people use resources and respond to incentives, or the study of decision making. The University of Illinois, which is known for their economics degree, defines it as the creation, consumption, and transfer of wealth. And Northwestern University in Chicago defines it as the study of how we make choices in the face of scarcity and how those choices motivate behavior. So, as you can see, these four prominent resources provide very different definitions, but there are some similarities between them. For the purposes of this course, I'm defining economics as the study of four things. First of all, it's the study of the creation of goods and services. Throughout this course, we're going to be looking at how supply and demand work together to determine the price and what is traded within an economy. This is going to be a huge portion of the discussion throughout pretty much every mini lesson. The second thing is looking at scarcity and the use of resources. In one of the first mini lessons, we're going to define scarcity and look at how resources, especially limited resources, so resources that there's not an unlimited supply of, can impact the price and the production of goods and services. So those two kind of relate together. And then we're going to look at wealth. How is wealth created? How can individuals be on the track to become wealthy? And ultimately, how can wealth impact an overall society if it's in the hands of a few? And then money based choices. So, we're going to be looking at lots of different vocabulary throughout this marking period, and a lot of it is related to money based choices, including things like opportunity cost and marginal analysis, where we're creating different calculations based off of either individuals' choices when it comes to money or businesses' choices when it comes to money. So now we're going to look at different reasons to study economics. And again, this is something that different resources have different reasons for, so I narrowed it down to four. But just to give you some background from other resources, Harvard Business School, which again has a prominent program in the study of both macro and microeconomics, stated that there are 7 main purposes to study economics. Well, when I was looking through the list, I narrowed it down to 4 because out of the 7, a couple of them didn't really apply to the curriculum as assigned by the state of Michigan. They say that studying economics can help to expand your vocabulary, to understand everyday terms such as scarcity, opportunity cost, and equilibrium. I found this important because these are 3 of the first terms that you learn within the curriculum. The second reason they said it helps to understand spending patterns. This can also be on an individual as well as a business level or government level. It helps to learn business decisions, especially if you're someone who's interested in eventually going into a business related degree or potentially even owning a small business. That is definitely a direct impact of economics and help with a variety of careers. So, even if you're not interested in going into economics, understanding money and understanding supply and demand and understanding the choices that people are making can be very helpful to a variety of careers. The Appalachian State University, which again has another economics program, said for additional purposes, which I narrowed down to three. They said that studying economics can help to prepare for a changing world by understanding people, business, and government decisions. It can help to develop critical and problem solving skills that can be helpful for a variety of careers and just life in general. And it can help to understand public policy that impacts everyone no matter what career they go into. For the purposes of this course, I took their suggestions and ideas and I narrowed it down to four reasons that we're studying economics. First of all, it helps to understand spending and decision making. So, a lot of the conversations we're going to have in here is about different choices that can be made, such as investment, such as looking at credit and credit cards, such as looking at decisions that businesses can make. Do they hire more people? Do they get more equipment? Do they make a different choice based off of the available resources that are out there? The second reason is that it impacts various professions, either directly or indirectly. There are very few, if any, occupations out there that are not somehow related to money or trade. So, most businesses are created in order to make a profit, which means that they are basically seeking to make money. Even if you are not the owner of that business, your part in that business is a part of that cycle. Some occupations are more directly involved in economics. So, for example, if you go into business or if you go into marketing, those are different degrees that are going to require you to take various economics classes and learn about it in quite a bit of detail. But if you're going to into other occupations, understanding how supply and demand works, understanding how people make choices, those can all still be very helpful. It also teaches problem solving and critical thinking skills. So, piecing things together, understanding how the economy works, understanding how other people think, those are all skills necessary for economics. And then finally, it can help you to understand policy and policy making. So, this is looking at the local, state, or federal government level. So, in especially one of the units, but in a couple of them indirectly, we're going to be talking about different policies that have been created that are going to impact you throughout your life in one way or another. We're going to look at the impact of taxes and how taxes can provide for different services within the society. We're going to look at the creation of the Social Security Act and how that impacts retirement for individuals who chose to pay in. We're going to look at Medicare and Medicaid and how those impact the healthcare system, and a variety of other policies and how they're created and why they were created. So finally, there are a lot of occupations that are directly econ based, and so I just want to point these out just briefly. Based off of Indeed, which did a study a few years ago on different prominent jobs within different degrees, they narrowed it down to 18, but I took the top 10 in terms of occupations that require either an econ uh, undergraduate degree, a minor in econ, or a related degree in econ, or a master's level degree in econ. The first is a credit analyst. They are responsible for calculating credit scores and providing advice. This is the number one responsibility of individuals who have an econ based degree. It's averaged within the United States. The individuals that have this occupation make on average $57,327 a year. The second is a personal finance advisor. So these are individuals that are helping to advise people how to invest or spend their money. Sometimes they work for private companies, sometimes they work for directly for individuals, especially if they have a lot of money, and sometimes they work for banks. On average, within the United States, they make $65,526 a year. Policy analysts are individuals who either work for the government or corporations and look at the different policies out there and how to enforce them. On average, they make $66,462 a year. The next one is a supply chain analyst. This is understanding the difference between supply and demand and can help to determine prices within different businesses or industries. On average, they make $67,947 a year. The next one is an economic consultant. So, this is individuals that typically work with legal departments, either at firms or in private industries. On average, they make $67,968 a year. A business reporter is generally a journalist that either works for a media company or a newspaper. On average, they make $69,488 a year, and they're reporting directly on things that relate to the economy. The next one is a loan officer. So these are individuals who meet with people to determine their eligibility for various forms of loans. On average, within the United States, they make $75,911 per year. The next one is a portfolio manager. This is an individual that usually has clients and will give them advice on how to invest their money, such as in the stock market. On average, they make $77,641 a year. Next one is a management consultant. So they, again, can work for businesses or for industries in general. Out of the different related jobs based off of Indeed's resources, they make the second most per year, and that is $82,108. And then finally, a senior financial analyst is someone who works a lot with stocks and bonds, and out of the list, they make the most per year at $84,878. Before we get into the vocabulary and the content and the units, I think it's important for you to understand what economics actually is, because sometimes it is kind of misunderstood in terms of what it includes and what it doesn't include. Keep in mind that economics is heavily related to government, but it's also heavily related to history as we look at the development of different policies and how things have changed over time and how it has impacted different periods of time in history differently. I think it's also important to emphasize that econ-based jobs do exist, and econ-based jobs can have the potential of making quite a bit of money, because those numbers that I was providing you with are basically the entry level prices that people are paid. So, throughout the marking period, we're going to be learning more about economics. We're going to be learning a lot of vocabulary, learning about the history of economics, looking at the impact of the economy in various types of societies, and especially focusing in on economics within the United States.